Hey everybody, Crow here with Demontamer. We're back with... Hello. We're back with more Dungeons and Dumpster Fires. This is going to be the start of a little mini-series where we look at pre-gen characters. Specifically the 5th edition D&D starter set. We're also going to go over a couple that I've created, and in later episodes we'll make some of our own for other classes. So, without doing a further, let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we've got our these are the characters that came with the starter set. It's got 2 fighters, a cleric, a wizard, and a thief. Pretty basic, well-rounded party. Looks like this first one. Okay, yeah, this first one is a strength fighter, human, and it looks like it's just a basic human. All of these characters use the standard array for their stats. So that is 15, 8, 14, 10, 12, and 13. So just looking at these, you can see there's like these are all one higher than the standard array. So this is just a basic, simple human. They start at level 1. These characters go from 1 to 5 throughout the course of the pack and adventure. So there's some room for growth. You can see here on the second page, they kind of they let you know not only, and this is nice, I think, they have everything referenced on the character sheets themselves. You see when you go up a level, what you get at that level. But to kind of simplify things, you'll see, like, at 4th level, that's when you'd get your ability score improvement. They're giving you specific things to get. This is a strength fighter. The starter set tells you, okay, when you get your ability score increase, do this. Normally, if you were already familiar with the game or didn't necessarily fully want to follow this, you kind of put things where you want. Maybe you wanted this character to have more hit points, or maybe you wanted to try and get rid of that negative dexterity modifier. You know, you might put your +2 into dexterity or something, but here for this one, put your points into strength. Your strength goes up to 18, and it breaks down everything you get with that, which is, I do like that. You know, it tells you what your new modifier is, your attack bonuses, yada yada.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. So, and it even breaks down an explanation of your alignment, a little bit of your background, although it doesn't really go into what comes with that background. You can see this strength fighter, it has the noble background, and you've got your personality things here. And actually no, it does. Sorry, my mistake. It does explain what comes with your background. We've got the position of privilege right here. So they're not even using the alternate background for noble, which would be knight, which I think would kind of fit a little bit better. But this isn't bad. They, like I said, they want to keep things simple. So one thing they don't do is they don't really explain. Because it does go to 5th level, it doesn't really explain what your martial archetype is. It doesn't go into that at all. It just keeps it simple. I believe this is which one is it that gets improved critical? Is it champion?
Yes, they get improved critical, which is a natural crit on a 19. Okay,
yeah. So they keep it really simple, and out of all the fighter archetypes, champion's pretty damn simple. So
yeah,
it's not bad. They did pretty well on this. They focus mostly on the strength, with the secondary stat being constitution. Now they've got a great axe and javelins.
Not terrible options, but
not
probably
terrible.
Not the best.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go now here's the thing, because if you look at the fighting style, they took defense, which is a +1 to armor class.
True.
Using a two-handed weapon, I could see that being beneficial because you're not going to be using a shield. But
you're
on the other
be
hand,
getting a lot of up close and personal encounters.
yeah, and this character doesn't even have a shield. Like, if you look at their equipment, they have no shield. They have no one-handed weapons outside of those javelins.
Could be a small problem.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't have a problem with the equipment, I definitely would have gone with... I would have given this character great weapon fighting, maybe, instead of defense.
Mm-hmm.
Defense would have gone great with a shield. Or even the protection fighting style would have been perfect with a shield. So I'd really only make one change here. I don't mind the Great Axe, so I'd probably just change that fighting style to great weapon fighting. Overall, not a bad character.
Yeah, not really.
Not a bad character at all.
Like, personally, I like fighters. If you're gonna be jumping into D&D and you want something nice and simple that's not too intimidating, a good first approach is probably a fighter.
Yeah, and then you just take the intimidation skill proficiency and let that be all the intimidating. Yeah, overall, not a bad character. Would have just switched the fighting style. So next, we have our Hill Dwarf Cleric. These get a +2 to Constitution, and I think a +1 to Wisdom, as reflected in the stats here. Because they threw their 13 into Constitution, it looks like, and their 15 into Wisdom. So we've got a pretty good looking cleric here. They've got a decent amount of strength there with a respectable +2 modifier. So they're a Healy boy, but they can get in there and beat the crap out of something if they need to. Equipment wise, they've got chainmail. Generally, clerics have medium up to medium armor for their proficiencies, so I'm going to take a stab and say, oh, yep, there's Disciple of Life. This is a life domain cleric, which makes if you're going to play a cleric and you want to heal, life domain will give you the ultimate Healy boy. So we've got the soldier background for this one, which is an interesting choice.
You don't see a lot of soldiers going and becoming clerics.
Yeah, so I'd say this guy is a battle cleric. He's a combat medic. Generally, I would have gone with Acolyte, even though there is some overlap. But with D&D rules, if there are skill overlaps between your class and your background, you can replace things. So it's not too bad though. But they do have that heavy armor. This guy's got a shield. I wouldn't have him tanking, but he's got that shield, so that is going to help him. He's got a better armor class than the fighter.
And for anyone who is playing cleric, you're going to want a really high AC, because if your DM is smart, they're going to try to kill you first.
Oh yeah. Now, what's interesting is he's got 11 hit points here, but the clerics only have a D8. It's because they're a dwarf. They've got that dwarven toughness. I don't remember if that's... I want to say that's specific to hill dwarves.
I don't remember.
I believe it is, because I think when we get around to building our tank character, I think I had chosen a hill dwarf for that character because of the dwarven toughness. So they get... Their hit point maximum increases by 1, and it increases by 1 every time you gain a level. So they're always going to get, whatever they roll, +1 plus their Constitution modifier. So they're going to be... I really wouldn't be surprised if this character ends up with more hit points than the fighters. Yeah, decent character. Cantrips, they've got Light, Sacred Flame, and Thaumaturgy. Light's pretty good. Sacred Flame, not bad. I don't know if I would have chosen Thaumaturgy for a character like this. I might have gone with something a little different. Let me look at the
healing.
Yeah, or at least some kind of like support buff. Let me look at the spell list here for clerics. Cleric spell list. What do they have in their cantrips? Something like Spare the Dying, I think, would have been good. Word of Radiance for a little more offense would have been a good choice instead of Thaumaturgy, I think. Even Resistance. One of those. Something a little more supporty.
Also something that they could potentially use on themselves, because just
Exactly.
based off of how this character is built, it does seem like a war cleric that would be on the front lines.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Word of Radiance would have been perfect for a war cleric, because then you get that extra, I think it's a D4 radiant damage on top of your weapon damage for a minute. And they've got a Warhammer, which, is that D8 or D6?
That is 1d8.
Yeah, so they've got a pretty hefty weapon there.
Yeah.
So overall, really the only thing I would go out of my way to change would just be trading out Thaumaturgy for a different cantrip.
Yeah. So
yeah. This is a really good character. I'm pretty happy with this one.
For these two that we've gone through already, it seems that they're actually not too bad.
Yeah, they're definitely not horrible. Pretty minor things, minor changes so far.
Very minor.
Yeah. Next we get into our Lightfoot Halfling Rogue. With the criminal background. I mean, so far so good.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. They've got a short bow and a short sword. I probably would have gone with a rapier to start rather than a short sword, just for that extra sneak attack damage. I mean, it's only, it's a difference of 1d8 or 1d6, but I mean, go big or go home. Why wouldn't you take the rapier? But they've got pretty decent stuff. This is what kind of rogue is this? Let's see, what do we got here? Second story work. Okay, this is a thief. So this is definitely not so much a combat-oriented rogue, but it can be. Thief isn't bad, though. The really great thing about Thief is when they hit 13th level, they can use any magical item they want. They're still limited to the number of magical items they can attune to, but they can use anything they want. Oh, look, we found a Holy Avenger, but we don't have a Paladin. The Thief can say, I'll take it. I can use it.
Thieves are basically the kleptomaniacs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're wonderful little guys. Honestly, if I didn't have such a specific vision for Florian, I think she'd make a wonderful thief archetype. But yeah, this character, let's see, we've got leather armor. Yeah, you know what? I don't know why this character has a bell. But
bell?
Yeah, and I think it's part of one of their kits.
Weird.
Yeah.
I could think of a few interesting situations where you could potentially use that for sneak attacking.
The bell?
Yeah, like hide around a corner, ring a bell, someone's like, what the hell is that? And then you stab them.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I like that. Overall, I like this character. I don't really have anything I would change on this, except maybe taking a rapier instead of a short sword.
Yeah.
Other than that, this is a really this is a solid character. Let's see. Okay, so next we have a High Elf Wizard with the Acolyte background.
As one should.
I probably would have went Sage.
Really?
I mean, for a wizard, yeah. Acolyte can work. Maybe like a church-sanctioned spellcaster, so that's not horrible. I really wouldn't change it. Yeah, we can go with that. I wouldn't. I wouldn't step away from that.
Something that's a potential change.
Potential change, but it's not breaking me. So we've got respectable 16 intelligence with a +3 modifier. They're pretty dexterous, pretty solid on the health. Our cantrips, we've got Mage Hand, Prestidigitation, Ray of Frost, Shocking Grasp. All good choices. For our first level spells in our spell book, we've got Burning Hands, Detect Magic, Mage Armor, Magic Missile, Shield, and Sleep. Again, pretty respectable.
Pretty respectable lineup.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid looking character. I want to say I would change something out for Identify, because Identify and Detect Magic go together really well. But these are all solid spell choices for first level. And it doesn't take that much experience to get to level 2. You could easily make one of your new spells Identify.
Very true.
And being a high elf, they have that... where is it? Oh, it's not listed here. So, being an elf, a high elf specifically, I believe wood elves get something like this too. Elves have elven weapon mastery, where they're automatically proficient with certain quote-unquote racial weapons. All elves are skilled with longbows. It's pretty stereotypical. But yeah, this wizard could easily pick up a longsword if they want to. They start with a short sword. So, still pretty good. I mean, you're a wizard. You're not going to be wading into the middle of combat.
No.
Even a blade dancer is going to be like, maybe I'll dance in and out, but I'm going to stay mostly out. Let's see, what kind of wizard do we have here?
Seems like
it's an
general use.
Yeah, it's an evoker.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is definitely a combat-oriented spellcaster.
Yeah, with a little bit of utility on the side.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the asshole who's going to be fireballing his party later.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I don't see anything I would really change here. Again, very, very solid character.
Yeah. I think maybe a few small things, like you said, maybe changing the background from Acolyte to Sage, maybe changing out some of the spells for, maybe making your wizard a little more personalized, but...
Yeah. But this is a very solid character. I would say probably this and the rogue are the most solid so far that we've looked at.
Oh yeah.
And then we have our fifth character, our other fighter. This is a dexterity fighter. So they've got a lower armor class. They took the leather armor and the longbow, which for a dex fighter, why wouldn't you? Capitalize on this.
True.
This character, outside of the wizard, has no ranged fighters. I mean, the rogue's got a short bow, but longbow's gonna pack more punch.
A little bit.
Yeah. So this guy's got now. This guy, I have a little bit more of a complaint with than I do with the other fighter. Now they did give him the archery fighting style. So his focus is going to be on the longbow. But then they gave him a greatsword. And he's still going to do respectable damage with that greatsword, but this is a dex fighter. I would have went with a finesse weapon.
What do you have in mind?
Probably a rapier. Because you're going to get... it's a finesse weapon. And you're gonna be able to capitalize on the higher damage. Still, it's the 1d8, and it would be 1d8 plus 3. Because you can, with the finesse property, you can focus on the dex for attack rolls and damage rather than the strength, which is still good but lower. I think a rapier would have been a better choice than a greatsword here. This is a folk hero. So this is a Robin Hood character.
A little bit.
Who's an accomplished archer and an accomplished swordsman. Just adds more to the fact that I wouldn't have taken a great sword. So this is also a champion, because they have the improved critical as well.
Woo, champions!
Yeah, I wouldn't have, trying to keep things as simple as they are. I wouldn't have changed the archetype here. We've got some pretty good archetypes among here. So for this one, I definitely would have given him a rapier over a greatsword. The strength fighter is fine, although I really want to stick that strength fighter with a longsword and a shield. Yeah, the cleric's got a shield, but the cleric's not going to be tanking anything.
No.
You've got a hefty boy at the front with a defense.
They have a pretty good AC.
Yeah, pretty good AC, but you don't want things attacking the cleric.
Well, it's like a just in case situation.
Yeah, if they do attack the cleric, he can hold his own. This is a pretty solid character. Again, minor changes would have just changed the weapon. Not bad. What do you think about it?
Overall, I feel like they're designed for a very basic purpose, and that is for going into the starting set.
Yeah.
Like, these are characters designed to be very simple, very straightforward. Overall, we haven't really run into a lot of things that we have actively wanted to change to the point of ridicule.
Yeah. It's funny, when I went into this, I had more of a problem with that strength fighter than I do now. Just because I so badly want to give him a longsword and a shield. If you're gonna have that defensive fighting style, you should have a shield, I feel, just to get all the AC, all of it.
Fair enough.
But really, these aren't horrible characters.
Yeah.
Just minor tweaks to improve them. But yeah, so those are our baked in pregens. We're gonna go ahead and look at two that I made. I made a half-elf bard and an Aasimar paladin. I'm just bringing up the extra information because I have doc files for these, for the additional information, because I don't know how to make these fancy PDF files. So we're going to go ahead and look at the bard first, my favorite class. In our weekly, most of the time, adventures,
we try.
Yeah, we do our best. I play a human. She's a bard rogue sorcerer right now, but she's primarily a bard. I play a bard named Florian, and she's a adorably wonderful.
She's eccentric, is how I would describe her.
Yeah, she's really good at being Florian.
A little bit.
Yeah, she's extremely eccentric, but for the most part, things always seem to work out pretty well for her.
Just for everyone.
Yeah, just Florian's mere presence just seems to be just good. And she'll do some crazy stuff. I love bards because they can pretty much. Bards are a great jack of all trades character that can be built up any way you really want them to be. They multi-class well with a lot of other classes. Rogues, sorcerers, warlocks. If you go with like a more College of Lore type of bard, they can mesh really well with wizards.
If you want to get really metal with it, you can have a barbarian bard.
A barbarian, if you will. Uh,
Indeed.
yeah, bards just mesh well with damn near every class.
It's all about flavor. It's all
Yeah.
about how you want to run it.
Oh yeah. So we're going. I made this one a half elf because they do have that charisma bonus. Charisma is a big thing for bards, of course. And the entertainer background, kind of going a little stereotypical here. But I started them off with a rapier and a dagger, and some leather armor. They don't get a lot of stuff. But they do have bardic inspiration. They've got the Fey ancestry from their elven parents, as well as the dark vision. They've got some extra skills with the skill versatility. So they start off with a pretty respectable amount of spells. We've got acrobatics, deception, perception, performance, persuasion, all 3 pers. Should have made it a tabaxi, it's purring so much. Sleight of hand, and stealth. So this would mesh really well into a roguish type of character if you chose to play it that way. And this character is the ladies' man, or the man's lady if you decide to make it female. That flaw there, a sucker for a pretty face. You know, it goes so well with this type of character. Now I made this one a. Let me change my capture here. Where is my other capture? I don't have it. Okay, let me change my capture here so you can see the. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we've got our. Where is it? Okay, so we've got our sheet here for their other stuff. You know, a little information on half-elves, a little information on bards. And this is what I set up for what they gain each level. You got their spellcasting advancement. For this, I went with College of Lore for the bard. So this would be a great backup / support spellcaster to kind of help out the wizard with stuff that the wizard doesn't necessarily have covered. But they could still dance in with the rogue and, you know, buckle some swashes with the rapier if they want to. The great thing about bards is they are, not only do they mesh well with damn near every class, but they're great support characters too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is going to focus, with their ability score improvement, this is going to focus on boosting their charisma. So, you know, if you're playing a starter adventure with this character, and you maybe wanted to supplement your spell casting some more, you could continue on in that College of Lore. You get the early magical secrets at level 6. You can shove them off into Warlock or Sorcerer territory later on if you want some more offensive spells. Maybe you feel you need more offense than what magical secrets will give you. Who knows?
You never know.
Yeah, so like I said, this was the first pre-gen character that I made. I'm pretty happy with it, but because I made it, I can't really judge it. What do you think about this one, Demontamer?
Well, overall, it seems like you were aiming to make a bard in the most literal sense when people think of a bard. Like, you think of the type of person who stands on a street corner with a hat, just waiting for you to toss coin in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were trying to make it. I'm not sure viable is the right word. It's an all-arounder with an emphasis on support.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
guess is how I would describe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, my favorite college for bards is College of Swords. When I made these pre-gens, though, I wanted to, at least for the class stuff, stick to the player's handbook. And this is purely a PHB character. So College of Valor is not bad. College of Blades is better, but given that the basic starter set has so many physical melee fighters already. I felt a more magical direction would work better for this particular character.
Oh yeah.
So let's go back. So that's our bard. We're gonna go back to our PDFs here. We're gonna look at the paladin. Now this one is not a pure PHB character. I did dip into Volo's Guide to Monsters for a bit. This is mostly PHB, but for the race, I went with a Protector Aasimar. Basically, I took some of the complaints I had with the Strength Fighter and made a character around that, but I wanted a Paladin since we already had a couple of fighters. Paladin is one of my other favorite classes. Bard's my number one, but Paladin is my number 1.5. I love Bards and I love Paladins. So I made this one a tanky character. I felt that the Protector Aasimar would go well with this one. So we've got they're going to hit hard. So we've got they're not going to hit as hard as the Strength or Dexterity fighters, but they do have that respectable +2 to Strength and a respectable +2 to the Constitution. So they're not going to have as much health as Captain Great Axe up there. But they are going to have the better armor class. They've got a longsword and javelins, but they've also got a shield. They're a tanky boy or tanky girl, and they've got the chainmail. They've got that boost to their charisma because Paladin spellcasting is charisma based. There's a lot of charisma casters in 5th edition. Not entirely sure how I feel about that, but it is what it is.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, this one I went with the noble background, but with the knight. This is the knight in shining armor. This is the protector of all. This is the Galahad, the Lancelots, the Arthur,
Batman.
The
Nah.
Tell your friends about me. Very husky there. But yeah, this is the knight in shining armor. This is the tank. If you didn't want to go with the ability score increase later on beyond 5th level, taking things like resilient or tough would be fantastic, or durable. Those 3 feats are really great to take for a tank character. We'll talk about that more in the tank video. I've got something really, really good planned out for that one. And you know what? I opened up the wrong file for that. That's just a list of Paladin spells. Just a second here. Oh, there it is. Okay.
You fucked up. No, I'm kidding. I don't care.
I did fuck up a little bit. Don't shoot me. Okay. There it is. Okay. So this is the stuff that we get with the class. It's an Aasimar. Basically, not really half angels, but they're very blessed. They're humans with some outsider blood in them. Generally angelic. And the Paladin, like I said, is your stereotypical knight in shining armor. Just noticed a typo. There we go. Okay, so they don't. Paladins differ from bards, and then they don't get their spell casting right away. You got to level a paladin up to 2nd level before they can start casting spells. They don't get any cantrips. But that said, they do get some pretty damn good spells to play with when they do get their spells. So we have our spell information. Like clerics, paladins use holy symbols to cast their spells. Many players like to say that their starting shield has their holy symbol embossed on it. so that way they don't have to necessarily have a free hand to cast their spells. It's on their shield.
Yeah.
One thing I like to do with my paladin characters is I'll have it typically embossed on their armor somewhere or on a glove. And that way, even if they lose their shield, an enemy knocks it out of their hand or whatever, or they have to drop it to two-hand that long sword, or maybe they're not even using a shield, they've still got their holy symbol, as part of their clothing. It's on their glove. That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
It's flavor. So we got their divine health that all paladins get. They're immune to disease at 3rd level, which is fan-fucking-tastic. I went with the Oath of Devotion. I feel like that's a very tank/protector oriented oath for paladins. I had also taken for their fight, because they do get a fighting style at level 2. Paladins get fighting styles, but they're very limited in their selection. They don't get those till level 2. So for their fighting style, are you serious? I didn't put it down? I didn't put it down.
Rip.
Well, what I would have chosen would probably either be defense, which is that +1 armor class, or I would have taken protection, which is pretty damn nice. Let me pull that up on the wiki and I'll explain what the protection fighting style is. Protection is when a creature you can see attacks a target other than you that is within 5 feet of you, you can use a reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll. You must be wielding a shield. So, defense or protection, great tanky fighting styles. One thing I kind of envision the perfect D&D tank character taking is maybe at least 1 level in fighter, just to grab. That way you can grab one fighting style from there, and then you can still get your paladin fighting style too. As long as they aren't both the same fighting style, you can have multiple fighting styles. In fact, there's a fighter archetype that gets an extra fighting style at level 10.
Yep.
I want to say that's champion? Or is that Battlemaster?
It's one of the two.
I really want to say it's champion.
Yeah.
But that's like the only way to get 2 fighting styles by single classing is to be a fighter.
Yeah. Also another reason I like fighters.
Yeah. Now with this character, we did kind of focus on buffing up their charisma. I would actually probably change this to Constitution, because this is supposed to be the tanky character. So one edit I would probably make here is buffing up their Constitution, just to make them be able to soak. Like the higher armor class is going to help keep them from getting hit, but they are going to get hit eventually.
Oh yeah.
So backing that up with a hefty pool of hit points would be really helpful. But buffing up their charisma like this does help their spell casting. That said, I don't think paladins really have a lot of spells that really rely on their spell saving throw and their spell attack, because a lot of it's just self buffing stuff. So yeah, I would definitely change this out to Constitution. Other than that, this is another character I'm pretty happy with. Of course, I made it.
Oh, yeah.
But I will admit, maybe some changes are in order. What do you think?
Well, overall, it seems like you're definitely going for just a tank in the most literal of sense. In my experience, and this isn't a gripe with the character at all. In my experience with D&D, trying to play a tank is almost never going to work. At least in not like an MMO sense, where you're drawing aggro, because I believe there's only 1, maybe 2 abilities in the entire 5th edition spell list that will actively draw you aggro.
Yes, and one of them is, well, the only one that I can really think of off the top of my head, which is one of my favorite spells for paladins, is Compelled Duel.
Yeah.
The only problem with Compelled Duel is it only works on one target at a time.
Yeah. And if anyone else gets involved, the spell deactivates.
Yeah. Now, that said, this kind of character is going to be the one, they'll be able to wade into the middle of combat, but they would also be fairly well served to stay near the squishier characters.
Yeah.
Because, like, with the protection fighting style, that requires you to be within 5 feet of a friend.
This is the type of character that you need to really coordinate with your other players with in order to really get like the most out of it.
Yeah. Especially with that protection fighting style, there are several feats you can take to bolster the tankiness of this character, which again will require you to be in close proximity to your party members. So it does require a lot of coordination. I would say this can be a very rewarding character, but it is the challenge mode character. And it's gonna turn the party into the challenge mode party, because if you've ever played D&D before, trying to get everyone else playing to coordinate together
is surprisingly difficult.
Yeah, it can be very, very difficult. Our group can tell you that for a fact. My character tends to do what she feels like doing.
Yeah, run off into the fucking underground.
Yeah, she
like a psychopath.
Yeah, and somehow it worked. She's got a price on her head now, but she pulled it off. Like I said, it can be a very rewarding character to play, but it is going to be a challenge to play. Especially if you're playing with people who don't like working together. Florian tends to do a lot of things. She would make a horrible paladin. She tends to do a lot of things on her own. She'll have a plan in mind, but she's not gonna tell everybody else what that plan is. And I mean, a lot of that our party does try to work together for the most part.
Sometimes.
Florian's Florian, though. Florian is definitely Florian. If she's anything, she's Florian.
It's the only fucking way to describe that character, and dear God.
Yeah.
It's sometimes frustrating, but yeah.
Yeah, she works, somehow. I know every time you think you've got a handle on her, I managed to do something unexpected with the character. Ooh, excuse me. I managed to do something unexpected with the character that you maybe were prepared for in the back of your mind, but you're still kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't account for that.
There have been several times in our campaign where I, as the DM, have just been floored by the amount of bullshit that has happened.
Yeah.
Like I never expected you to walk into the underground and also walk out.
Yeah, by myself, no less.
Yeah.
I figure I've come to the point with Florian where if I do something with Florian and I don't get a "God damn it, James" out of you, I'm not doing it right.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a wrong way to play Florian and there's a right way to play Florian, and the right way to play Florian is to get your DM to say "God damn it" in your name.
Yep.
But yeah, that's not to say she's completely unkillable and and totally lucky. I've had a couple of moments where shit is just
she
spectacularly
is she is lucky.
She's very lucky, but I think there was one time I came somewhat close to death with those trolls. I came pretty close to death at one point in the underground with the deck of many things.
The deck of fucking cards.
A deck of many things, which I pickpocketed, by the way.
Yeah, because I was dumb enough to put that onto my treasure list because I'm a psychopath, and it was 1 in 100.
Yeah, and we managed to roll that number to see what I pickpocketed, and it was the deck of many things. I forget what is it. What is it you said would have been on there instead of the deck if you hadn't put it on there?
The Hand or Eye of Vecna.
Yeah, given
But the reason I decided against it is because they technically don't exist in my world.
Yeah.
Yet.
It's Vecna, so he can be where he wants. Yeah, given those choices, the deck is probably the least dangerous item Florian could have pickpocketed out of the 3.
Yeah.
It's not saying a lot, but yeah.
It's gonna tear your arm off and replace it with this weird arm. It gives you magic powers.
Yeah, I almost imagine it being like that scene out of Terminator 2 where he Arnold cuts his forearm off and he's showing off the mechanical arm underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be Florian, except it'd be like this withered lich arm instead.
Oh my god.
She'd start speaking like Arnold's worked. Now listen to me very closely.
Give me your cookies. Anyway.
Put that cookie down!
We're getting off topic.
Yeah. So, yeah, these are the pre-gen characters we have so far. In the next few episodes of this mini-series, we'll be building pre-gen characters for all the other classes. We're going to go a little stereotypical for some, but we're going to try and make these
as simple as possible.
But also fun.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that simple can't be fun. Yeah. You
want to have fun.
We're having fun, damn it. Now sit down and have fun.
Roll the dice, Dave.
It's fun. Rolling dice is fun. Okay. But yeah, no, we're gonna endeavor to make these other pre-gens as simple as possible, but also as fun as possible. And we're gonna try and do our best to leave things open to dip into other classes if you want to after level 5, because these do all go to level 5. So that said, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching. I have been Crow,
and I have been Demon.
Thanks for watching. Which I already said, and see you later.
Bye.